And
That's right.
it is 6:06 and I will call this meeting to order. Can we stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Now, are there any nominations for the position of chair?
Nominate Alyssa Bascom.
Second that nomination.
Well, thank you.
Motion carries.
Do you want the job?
I would gladly do it again. I learned a lot last year and I'm willing to continue learning as long as people are willing to help me along with that. So,
Okay, that's all I wanted to know is how I vote. If you didn't want it, I would have voted against.
well, thank you.
Not me, I would have made her do it.
Well, you've had
I've
experience
done
with
it.
So there's no discussion, do we want to vote on this or?
That would be the case.
Okay,
It'll need to be a roll call.
okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Is there any other, is Jamie on there?
yes, that
No.
was-
Oh, okay,
Just
so,
Jenny.
so then it goes to
Shelley.
Kevin, yes.
There, yes.
Joe, yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Motion carries. All right, back to you now.
All right. Do I hear a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Kevin, please.
Accept the nomination.
Perfect.
I'll second.
All right. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none. Jenny?
Yes.
Yes.
Joe, yes.
Alyssa, yes. Fantastic. Thank you for stepping into that role again this year. Appreciate the work from last year. For the role of treasurer. Do I hear a nomination?
Who's, you finished?
Yeah, I was so good at it, you don't even know who.
Not even sure what the treasurer does, but I nominate Joe.
I believe it comes with some responsibility, so if you're
Yes.
willing to take that on, we appreciate it.
I'll do it again, sure.
Do I hear a second?
Oh,
Thank you, Shelley. Jenny? How do you
Yes.
vote? Shelley?
Yes.
yes.
Joe, yes.
Alyssa, yes. Thank you very
Or
much.
should I abstain? I don't.
No, you can vote for yourself here. And for the role of secretary, who will take minutes and whatnot if Misty is unavailable.
Jamie has done it in the past. Do we know if Jamie is willing to take it on again?
I did check with Jamie. She is willing to do it again. If somebody would nominate,
So I nominate Jamie.
I second.
wonderful. Any discussion? All right, then Jenny,
Yes.
Shelley.
Yes.
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 Yes, all right, thank you very much. We have a full slate for the upcoming year. All right, thank you all very much. Do we have any public online other than Jenny today?
No, they're all watching the NCAA tournament.
We'll get you out of here.
UConn versus Syracuse right now.
Oh, you can listen in. We do have one. All right, well, thank you, whoever is watching. I think something we need to do this year, and I was remiss to do it last year, was to introduce ourselves for anybody who might be watching. So if we could start that today, I'd appreciate it. So Jenny, if we could start with you and just introduce yourself for the watching public.
All right, my name is Jenny Donovan. I am a resident of Walpole here up on Prospect Hill, mother of a 7-year-old in our district. I'm currently a school administrator and just looking to be of service.
Thank you.
Shelley Andrews from Charlestown.
Kevin Keith from Langdon.
I'm Sarah Vogel from Ackworth. I live in Ackworth and I have 2 kids who have proudly graduated from Fall Mountain.
I'm Joe Levesque and I live in Alstead.
I'm Alyssa Bascom from Charlestown. All right. We also have with us our superintendent, Dr. Christopher Spence, our facilities director, Bill Botting, and our business administrator, Lori Schmidt today. So our first order of business after recognition is the MS-22, which I believe everybody in the room has signed. All right. Jenny, we will get that to you for your signature. If you want to stop into the office sometime this week, that would be great and get that done.
Absolutely.
I will check with Jamie and see if she can swing in as well.
I don't think it's required that everybody sign it if she's not able to.
Okay,
We do need to get it submitted by the end of, by sometime next week.
okay. Well, we have a majority on it now. Is that?
Right.
Would you like to submit it as is?
I won't be submitting it until the end of the week because I'm out of the office for the next 2 days, so.
Okay, well then good. I'd rather have as many as possible. So if I could continue that, that'd be great. Thank you very much. And now I just turn the evening to Bill Botting to give us an update on facilities.
Or did you want to talk about early release?
Do we want to do that first?
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. We do have an agenda item to add if the board feels that is a good idea. It is to address the eclipse that is coming up on April 8th. Do I hear a motion to add to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to add it to the agenda.
In a second?
So,
Thank you. All right, Jenny, how do you?
Yes,
Shelley?
Well, we're just adding it.
We're just adding it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, thank you. So, Dr. Spence, if you could.
Yeah, so this will be short. So there is a bill that has been introduced, HB 1471, and it essentially says the bill designates April 8th, 2024, the day of the total solar eclipse as a school holiday and authorizes local school districts to organize viewing events. So the eclipse came up in our admin team meeting. The administration's of the mind that it should be an early release day to allow kids to go out and staff, faculty, everyone to go out and observe this once in a lifetime event. I just came from the Concord at a conference studying other superintendents were there's discussions around early release or some not having school at all. So I brought this to the board to see if the board has an appetite to entertain such a thing.
What time of the day is the eclipse? On this
2 o'clock.
2, so early release, what just like.
It starts at 2,
It goes until 4.
so. Are there any other concerns like? A loss of communication or something happening during this eclipse? It's purely to allow students and teachers to go home to watch it.
Watched the clip. There were some safety concerns that were brought up. And then, yeah, that's it.
I
This
would
is-
think that the kids would be much safer in school than staying at home without their parents, probably, just staring up at it.
That does
and
concern
from
me.
sorry, go ahead.
Jenny, go ahead.
I was just gonna say from a pragmatic standpoint, for those of us that are less than enthused about such things, as eclipse, I think it's kind of it's a lot to ask working parents for that reason. That would just be my angle on it.
Thank you for that. Lori, did you want to add?
I just wanted to say that that's gonna be dismissal time. So not in the building, and then I just wanted to make that distinction, not in the classroom necessarily. For 2 to 4.
Right, the high school is beginning at about 2, the middle schools and junior and elementary would be about 3.
Right.
I'm not sure when we became a society where things like this used to be something that was a full day of learning events inside the school.
Yeah.
Whether it be from the little kids, introducing them to the science aspect of it, and then up to the high school, introducing them to, the more scientific piece of it. And I do know that New Hampshire didn't start this, Vermont as was. They already did it 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, they did the announcement, but.
Yes, sir.
It seems to me that it would be a wonderful educational experience, educational opportunity for, teachers to guide kids through the process of, you're gonna go home and this is what's gonna be going on. You know, from either, like for our little kids, they'll still be in school as it starts, but it'll keep on going. And for our high school kids, they're gonna be getting out then. And they'd be much more likely to be learning things about the eclipse and perhaps going outside in a safe way, learning how to look at the sun as opposed to just looking at it, and getting their retinas burned. But, so my leaning would be that we recommend to teachers that they provide they provide a lesson plan around what is the eclipse and what, why is this such a big deal? Why does it only happen every once in a while? What, have kids be the sun and be the moon and and the earth and, what does that, I remember doing that when I was a kid in school
I do too.
ages ago when we had one in the Chicago area. And, we were all like running around being the planners and doing all kinds of stuff. And it was really cool. And I learned a lot from like a little kid way, kind of remember. But, and I remember Garfield Goose even talked to us, how we were supposed to look at the sun, but so I think, I don't know that, I mean, I always have a hard time with that when we're trying to remember important people, we give kids the day off. And people go on vacation. And so they don't necessarily remember Martin Luther King or remember Abraham Lincoln or remember George Washington. They think of going skiing.
So the connection is lost.
Right.
Good
So,
point.
so I would lean more towards making it an educational event, like making it an event, but having the kids in school.
If anything, like the high school, offering that the school be open after, maybe a later bus, if kids want to stay here and experience it.
I think that's a great idea.
The next one in the lower 48 is in 2035. So if you really want to make this an event that kids are really going to remember, sending them home so they can sit in front of their Xboxes or go to the pizza place or hang out with their friends is not the way to do. I just don't see it. I would like all the schools to maybe, and I understand I can't, I want to say freeze something. So some of our kids are going to be on buses and if that's, if that's the parent's choice. But even if at the middle school, if we said, you guys can hang out after school in the back parking lot, should be nice out. I would hope that 2 feet of snow will be gone by then.
It's supposed to
Hoping
be.
it's gone by Sunday, because I have Easter presents that have to be outside, but, yeah. I just think we're getting away from like the whole point of school.
I think point well made. So it sounds like maybe there's a consensus here. Does anybody want to make a motion to make this a half day? Hearing none, I think we leave it as a school day.
All right.
Of course, if you have your staff call out, let us know.
All right. All right. Everybody's back to team.
I don't wanna do that, but I think I think the teachers will have fun with it.
I think
I
the
think
kids
if
will too.
we really embrace that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for not only our students, but our teacher, and those entities can like embrace it and share it together, what a great time. Because my kids get out early and they're not sharing it with anybody but themselves, because my work isn't closing shop just because this is happening, so.
Be cloudy.
Could be cloudy that day, and the other thing to consider is that we are not in a path of totality. We're not gonna have congestion on our roads. We're not gonna have any of those other things that a lot of Vermont is dealing with, which they're trying to mediate, like.
We're 97.4%.
I
We're
am very
partial.
happy to be in that place. the congestion is gonna be elsewhere. So we're not gonna be, you know, having kids stuck on school buses for hours. So I can understand why other places might have made that decision, but that doesn't necessarily affect us here. So, all right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Need anything else from us on that, in that regards for the next
No.
meeting? Let us know.
Okay, all right.
We got time. All right, so at this time, I will turn it over to Bill Botting for an update.
So actually, I'm going to start with just a little
Then
introduction
Laura.
and then I'll pass it off to Bill. So
I will.
I think that the last comprehensive capital improvement plan that we had was prepared by Jim Fenn in 1919, 20.
Maybe
Was
2019.
it 20?
2020.
Yeah, yeah. It was a long time ago.
Jim's old, but he's not that old. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe 2021.
It was a notebook and a white binder,
Yep.
because I have it.
Yeah, I have it someplace.
Yeah. So, and then, I found that Mary had last year had done made some updates to, I think, add some additional things for ESSER and what have you. And so Bill and I sat and we reviewed that list and I printed out and marked up and identified what had been completed. I thought I got them all moved off, but I also made a copy in Excel and was working off my Excel spreadsheet. So anyway, the stapled document that you have, I think it's mostly comprised of projects that have not been completed. But unfortunately, I didn't catch all of the completed projects in this schedule, so there is a bit of a mix. At the bottom of the list, there's the funding sources that they were proposing. ES is ESSER. So clearly there are some things that we need to change and update. So what I was working on doing is if you look at the, legal size page, this is just a snapshot of where we were heading with the schedule, with the intent of, if we had a committee, being able to use this as a basis. The yellow columns has the old data in it. And then we have columns to put in the new data. School year location, funding, priorities, categories, and then the column next to it that I didn't know what to call. Those are all drop-down fields, so there's some continuity and consistency between items. And then when this is done, you can easily sort or filter by location, school year. We can create some pivot tables to plan it out. We can use this as a tool for, deciding if we're wanting to do bonds, and when, and what that would, cover. And then, of course, the big thing is, we can't use ESSER. So anything that was in here that the intended funding was ESSER, it is no longer gonna work. So, we have to decide, did we add it just because we thought we had ESSER money? Did we add it because it was important and we want to continue having this on the horizon? So as I complete this, I think it'll be ready for the full board meeting, that I can then share out and people can play with it.
Okay.
And so then I'll turn it over to Bill so he can.
Can I ask a question first, please?
Mhm.
So anything in there that has ESSER next to it, do we have to have it spent by September or we have to have it earmarked by September?
You have to have the funds obligated by September and then, I think we have, 2 or 3 months to spend it, to have it all spent. The problem is that most of these items that were in here were construction related.
Okay,
And we don't have final approval, so anything that was done can't be considered, for ESSER money. If we wanted to add something new, it's a very complex process in getting a construction project approved. And they are, because they're coming down to the end of the grant, they're less inclined. They've said that they've started to slow down with construction approval.
have we spent our obligation, like everything obligated to us?
No, we have not. So we have, but we are I think we talked about this in a board meeting previously where we were, looking at ESSER monies for the curriculum. So we're still working through that to get, I think we're well, I've not been directly involved in the process, so I don't want to speak to that, but I know that the goal is to, narrow it down. Kristen and I have discussed what we need to do in order to be compliant with the grants when we're selecting a vendor and entering into a contract. So that's what we're working towards, and, I think that will use up most of, if not all, of the funding.
Okay, so nothing's gonna be left on the table.
I don't think so, for
Okay,
ESSER three.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a question before, just these papers in front of me. So you said this,
Mhm,
and I recognize some of these projects,
mhm.
but some of these have already been.
Yes.
There are a
Please
few-
tell me the
Yeah.
clock at CPS
Yes,
is the,
I think most of the clocks.
because we've had clocks on our thing for like 12 years now. That's being dramatic,
Mhm.
but at least for the last two. Am I,
No, you are
thank you.
fully,
So I just wanna make sure that we will never see clocks again for another 5 or 6 years. So some of this stuff that's in this June 30th, 2023, I don't have my glasses, so I apologize. Some of this has been done,
Yes.
but we know for sure this stuff hasn't been done.
Yes,
Okay.
and that is not a complete list.
No, this is kind of what you.
This is a
looking
sample
for,
of where we're
like
going.
an outline.
Yeah. I wanted you to, have the opportunity to, I guess, say, oh, okay, this looks interesting, proceed, or no, this is not at all what we're looking for and isn't gonna be useful. And then
I do
Go a different
like
direction.
this opposed to this.
okay,
Number one, it's only one sheet of paper.
well.
But number two, the only thing that I would prefer, and once you know, if
Mhm.
everybody else likes this one piece of paper design, I would assume that once you get going, like all of the high school stuff will be packed together.
Yes, well, see, and that's what we can do, we can set it up into.
You could set it up with projects, like this one looks like it's set up for
Yes, asbestos, yep,
but you could set it up by location, project, cost.
year.
Yeah, I mean,
And then off on the right-hand side, I truncated it so it would be of size that you could read the
you.
materials. Between cost and so you can see I've got a fiscal year in 2025. We would have that 5 years out and then plus, and then the total plus. And then if I, done it before, but I had said help setting it up. We can create a pivot table that would create a summary sheet that wouldn't have the job detailed, but it could say that, okay, well, we have this amount in asbestos, we have this amount in flooring, ceiling, plumbing, whatever, by year, by funding source. So it's possible to do that as well, and that's the direction I want to go. So then we are looking at a one-sheet summary and then all the detail.
and then is it possible too, that once a project is completed, instead of us never seeing again, you can put it down here into like this completed table, so we know, all right, we said this project was gonna be completed such and such a date, and we actually did it, which would then end as an example, would end the clock conversation that I've had for 3 years. Like, oh, yes, we did it here, we did it on here, this is when it was completed, boom.
Yeah, and Mary actually had started that and, but there were still items in the to-do list, so we were trying to clean that up and I think I got it cleaned up in my Excel, but not the shared document.
Okay,
Is it safe to say, that on this sheet, is this it for asbestos as far as we know? Or is there yet more?
There is more.
There is always more, yeah, because it's unlike the clocks, this never goes away.
no one, actually, no one, when they did the, initial inspection back in, 1989, no one went under the gym at Walpole Elementary, and there's probably 300 to 400 feet of asbestos on all the pipes under there.
On all the pipes, okay, great.
So I mean, that's gonna be a huge job.
Yeah.
Because not only is it, a lot of asbestos, but it's
But you have,
also
yeah,
in a crawl space.
it's in a crawl space and you have to take all of that off and get it out of there with
You have
people
to
in all of their
encapsulate the whole
hazmat suits
thing.
and all, yeah, it's a nightmare.
So this, what I had done is, I just sorted it alphabetically because then I was trying to, so we have several, asbestos abatement items, by building for 26, 27, and 28. And they were all at one time costed out at, or estimated to be 25 grand. And it was because we do X number of rooms a year.
Yeah,
So I had sorted it to try to,
yeah, that always seems to
Make
come
it
up in
easy.
Elsted. When are we gonna be done with that? And I keep telling
Everywhere.
people when those buildings are finally abandoned, then we can let them go.
Yeah, if you look
But I
down-
think I think they're completely made of asbestos.
yeah. I think if you drop down to this, to CMS towards the bottom of the page, there's a classroom flooring asbestos abatement and replacement. So it wasn't asbestos classroom flooring, the asbestos is buried in, so there are gonna be
Yeah.
items like that as well.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It really is. But I don't know what else you can do.
I'm just looking forward to having a handle on it so that those conversations can be had. We're like, yes, this is what we did, this is what is still to do, and then people can reference it. Cause it does,
Yeah,
I
make
think we
people,
just need our own, and you can take this for what it is. I think you just need to pull asbestos out of this whole thing
Mhm.
and create its own book.
Mhm.
Because there's so many questions about it. So you can say, all right, this is how much is left at CBS. This is how much is left at CMS. This is, I know it creates more work, but I think some of the biggest questions I end up getting, especially around budget time, or when people go in to vote, is we can't possibly have that money left. Because we do a project every year. But I don't think they realize that some of the projects that get done are not these big 3, 4, 5, 6, or a whole floor. We're only doing
One room at a time.
Yeah.
these little chunks.
Mhm.
My question, or at least my comment is, if is ever to be a reduction in the real estate that the district has, the buildings, this is a lot of money to invest in buildings if we're not planning on keeping all these buildings. So I'm thinking long-term down the line, does it make sense to invest X amount of dollars in buildings, like some of the larger things I've seen here, the HVAC systems, et cetera, if we're looking to shorten our geographic footprint?
So, and I think that's why, that's, also what I was sort of thinking is that the tools built into this formatting will kind of allow us to
make those decisions.
look at them with a little bit more.
yeah. I
Knowledge.
mean, it absolutely important to know, like, which school to close. How about we close one of these things that's still got, $20 million worth of asbestos to get rid of?
I just think this that conversation should probably be. I would personally like to see that conversation during our summer retreat, where we can just sit down and just kind of say what we have to say and see where the pieces fall.
And kind of map it out.
Well, I mean, if we're all gonna sit here together, finally, after a lot of years, and I'm not saying we're all on the same page, but I think we're all coming to the realization that 11 buildings is really not affordable for us. Then I think we need to start having those conversations and start figuring it out. Because the smaller we get, right? With kids, having all of these buildings just doesn't make any sense. We're small towns. So we like our buildings. We're passionate about our buildings. And we just, as a group, need to make sure that when we start having those conversations with our communities, that they fully understand. They talk about tax dollars, it's going to these buildings,
Right.
teachers as well.
We could do more for a smaller number of buildings and provide a better environment than we can to try to do it Band-Aid style for a lot of buildings.
And better use of teacher resources that we have, instead of having them move around their spot.
True, and not just teacher resources, but all the related services. I mean, it's a pretty intense obligation we have. So, I want to share a small anecdote. This yesterday I was reading the history of the Farwell School, and it talked about how the Farwell School was a consolidation of 4 other neighborhood schools. So even back in 1890, they were having these conversations. It's nothing new. It's something communities have had to think of and how to educate their children as long as we've been educating children.
It's the same thing with the Acro School.
Exactly.
I think Lois and I were reading the same thing yesterday. I did, I read it yesterday and it's interesting how our history kind of, well, I don't want to say repeat itself, because gosh knows we can't repeat some of it, but.
We try to learn from it anyway.
If I can just add to that, when I was away at the conference in San Diego and I met other superintendents, I got 3 themes. Either they were preparing for consolidation, this was across the country, recently completed one, or everyone's upset because of this current state, because the enrollment's declined, it's just across the country. So this isn't even a New Hampshire thing, this is New York, other states. Everyone is kind of engaged in this work is what I'm hearing and seeing.
Now, see, you used the word consolidation and the word you used before was much better.
Yeah.
What did you say? You said something.
I forgot. I'm tired.
What did you say?
I don't have
You
my
didn't
coffee.
say consolidation and I kind of giggled at him. But he basically said consolidation, but it was a very.
We'll have to watch this.
It was a very gentle term, which I'm like, ooh, I like how.
We're gonna use that for our branding. Like, I don't have coffee tonight, I got this, and I'm like, go with that. Yeah, it's the office treatment.
So, yes, Adam.
I think one thing that's gonna make our planning difficult is the recent vote by Walpole to consider leaving the district. Which I think means we're gonna have possibly 2 plans going forward about consolidation. One where we involve Walpole, one where we don't involve Walpole. And that's gonna be difficult to work through all of that. So, I'm not sure
Well,
how to get through that.
I think we also need to realize that that's a very long process. So you're looking like 2 years out.
It's,
Next year would have to go to district,
right.
then you're looking at another year.
So if the town of Walpole, with their study committee decided they wanted to submit it to the district, we all vote on it in March of 2025, then they do the study for a year and would put it on the warrant in 2026 to be voted on. So they could potentially have a 26-27 Walpole School District.
Potentially. I'm not even sure if.
Well, if they vote
a lot of people won't believe
affirmatively
those.
in March of 26, it would start
So-
July 1st.
I think we've just moved forward until we hear otherwise.
I think that's the prudent way
And-
to go.
You know. I think Dr. Spence sent an email today. Not anything to do with that. But, you know, I know in the back of his mind, he knows that's happening, but he didn't say it. Like, he's like, we still need district-wide programming, we still need district-wide this. And I don't think that this board, at least at this point, should even remotely get caught up in it. That is Walpole politics and they gotta work through it. And when we meet this summer, I think when we talk about consolidation, I wish I could remember what you said.
Real estate reduction. That's what it
Right,
is.
there we go.
Real estate reduction.
Talk about That was beautiful. When we talk about
Real
real
estate
estate reduction, we include them because they are with us. Then they are with us until they decide not to be. And then we go from there. I think if we try to do two different plans and we try to get ahead of this, then we end up getting kind of involved in all the politics of it. And, I think we just need to,
Yes. Thank you.
However, real estate reduction, for creating a brand, we decided real estate reduction meant building a new middle school. We'd have two different kinds of middle schools we would need to build to house the entire district versus housing all the towns other than Walpole. So, if we get to the point we're talking about that, we do have to bring that into the mix.
I think that is a good roundtable discussion for this summer. It's definitely worth hashing out.
it goes with strategic planning.
Mhm.
I mean, it all ties into it. Because we just cannot stay on this trajectory. I would love to think that every town is gonna flourish and all of a sudden manufacturing is gonna come back to this area. I think it will to an extent, but not like it was back in the 80s and 90s and school isn't, I mean, when we had numbers like what we had in the past where we were thriving, there were not these other competitions to get your kids. Like there's private schools, there's these types of schools, now there's, you know, the voucher program, and there's just so much competition now that, I would love to see our kids go back, you know, the numbers go back up the way they were, but I don't know.
There's a question about asbestos abatement. We've heard comments in the school board meetings as well as from the public during budget deliberation, I believe. That would it be cheaper to like do asbestos abatement at the Allsted Primary School and get all that done instead of doing one a year?
Yes,
Do Allsted Primary 1 year and then the
yes,
next year
because
do.
it's gonna be very expensive this year because we got 6 different asbestos abatements in 6 different schools.
Right,
So they've got to set up in each building, travel between each one, they gotta carry it, all the asbestos that they take out, they gotta carry to one of the places that they set up. Say, they park a tractor trailer out here and fill it full of the asbestos
mhm,
and then haul it off. Well, they gotta truck it from Walpole Elementary, Walpole Primary, North Walpole, Charlestown Middle School's got one, high school and Allsted Primary. And I mean, they're gonna have to truck it, so it's gonna be over probably a 4 to 5 week time period. Instead of if they went into one building, they could do it in a month and clean it all out.
But how much would that cost Violet's, and do they have it in their capital reserves?
You could figure about $25,000 a room now.
So, I mean, that ultimately, I think the reason why we do it the way we do it is because it comes out of capital reserves.
Right,
And sometimes was it Elsted that almost had it depleted? It was Elsted, right?
They're pretty much, we have the lowest capital reserve fund.
Yeah, it was almost depleted at
Yeah.
one point, so there's no way that Elsted could, I don't even think they could today,
No, more than a classroom or so.
yeah. So
Well,
I mean, how could we work around that in order to save money? I don't know if Lori has something up her sleeve where
let's hope.
she's like, no, I don't.
I mean, like, I don't know, it's not like we could do like everything.
Well, one good thing is I don't see any asbestos abatement for Saraport.
or
I don't see Ackworth.
Ackworth isn't in here either. Well, no, Ackworth isn't in here either, is it?
Ackworth has very little, in it, it has, some floor tile.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Oh, that's
And it's
right.
probably been encapsulated by a rug,
Yeah,
by
cause I
cotton.
remember when you tried to take up a rug, I think at Elstead Primary, and there were asbestos tiles below it, and nope, can't afford that this year with the rug back down.
I think that's why we don't do it.
Yeah,
I would like to see a full report of everywhere that we have it in the district by building with the costs associated. Without being just the $25,000 estimate, because we know that, mobilization is expensive. So what would it be, so if there's 4 rooms in the Charlestown Primary School that need it, it's not necessarily 100,000. It would be if we did 4 years in a row each
Yeah.
year. But if we did them all at once, would it only be 80? Like, I would like to know that information, because we could present that to the public and say, we can save Charlestown $20,000 by doing it this year. I think that's where we need to go with every school building. It doesn't mean we say, it's $200,000 at the high school, this is what we're doing, but we would have the information, and then we could choose, like, we're gonna spend $100,000 at the high school, this is how much we can get to consolidate all of those projects.
and I can get you that information. I'm working with, ABS to get, this year's asbestos abatement scheduled. I just gotta get him the exact rooms and the square footage, and then he will give me a price for each one. And we can work off that,
Okay,
but the price also has to include, once you get the floor, once you get the asbestos gone, you gotta put a new floor down. And that's in the $25,000.
well, that's good to know.
So I mean, that's all in.
Do we have any mechanisms to drive the price down? Cost of the labor with the vendors?
No, it is what it is.
Are they bidding for this? Is it a competitive bid? Is there any way, to really start driving, negotiating those prices down? The districts that's what, when I worked at Walmart a long time ago. That's their corporate model. Walmart says, if you want to sell a can of peas, this is the price point it has to be. And so all the other vendors have to work to get the product at that particular price point. I don't know if we have that much control of the market, but for this price point, we might have some leverage there to drive that down, negotiating the labor side a little bit.
I can,
Yeah, I mean,
I can work on that.
just the idea from a paving standpoint, if you can do more paving in one area, because a big part of the cost is just getting all of that equipment into Langdon to pave a road or whatever. So if you can pave 5 roads, you're gonna get a better cost per square foot than you would if you just pave 1. And I was thinking along the lines, if we're gonna if you do it all at once and they only have to bring their stuff out here one more time and go through that entire school and clean the whole thing out, it might be cheaper, unit pricing, if you will,
Mhm.
to do it that way.
I would call it less expensive.
Yeah.
instead of
I'm
cheaper.
sorry. I'm sorry, yeah, well. Shelley
Language
would've called
matters
me on that
Real estate reduction.
anyway.
So is that something we can have for a couple meetings down the road, so that we can start making those decisions this summer? Okay, that would be great. Does anybody have any more questions about asbestos?
No.
We
Sure,
might
there's more.
overlay that with, the, capital reserves for each of those schools too, to see if maybe one of these schools, if we did all the work there, has money in their capital budget, capital reserve to take care of that.
Mhm.
Charlestown might be able to do like CPS,
Right.
like 1 year and save up a little bit and then maybe do.
That would give time for like Alsted to increase their capital reserve to get it all taken care of at one time. So if we find a school that has,
Start with that one and
Start with
then
that
kind of
one.
work.
and let going down and try and increase the capital reserves and the other schools pay for that.
I think that's a good way to go.
Along with that, I will also include, the last 3-year inspection. I can pick out all the pieces of it, what's left.
Mhm.
And if it has been abated, I will, because that was done in 22. And they do it every 3 years. I will, highlight what has been removed.
Mhm.
And so that when I give you the pricing, I'll also give you what's left in all the buildings.
Does that report give kind of a red, yellow, green report, like this is dire, this is, less so, and this one can wait?
No, it just, all it does is just say where it is and the condition of it.
Okay, well, the condition, I suppose, would be kind of
Yeah.
that. It would be good to know which ones, like, I would not want to put off Alsted if they have some dire concerns. We need to address that, so it would be good to know that as well.
Yeah, the friable is what would be, what we would should try to get rid of first, anything
Mhm.
friable. Floor tile isn't friable.
So if there's a place that just has floor tile, we might be able to wait on those,
Yeah,
whereas some
that would
others
be
like
the-
the pipes.
My recommendation would be to wait and do them last. Because when we put the floor finish down each year, we're encapsulating it. So, and when we strip it or scrub it, we're using water, so nothing, and tile isn't friable. So,
That report is available on the website as well.
Yes,
It came
it
up
is.
as a question during the deliberative session, so the report was added.
Oh,
yeah, it's on
excellent.
the, it's on the.
thank you. All right, so I think that's asbestos.
Okay, well, you wanna start on this and there's 5 pages here. Do you want me to go line by line? And just go through the whole thing, or how do you want me to go about it? I can start by telling you what has been done.
Okay.
Sure, we
because
can cross those right off.
there is a few things on here that haven't been done. So I can start with that, and that's at Elsted Primary, the expansion of the nurse's office, that's been done. New clock system at Fall Mountain Regional High School was done. I don't know about the refurbishing of the John Deere tractor. I'm assuming it was, but I'm not 100% sure. North Walpole's new clock is done. Expansion and upgrade the nurse's office for Vilas, we've done that. Front office carpet replacement at Vilas is done. Refinishing a gym floor at Walpole Elementary has been done. Replace the tile in the hallway at Walpole Primary has been done. Accurate, the boiler replacement's done. But these are repeat. The building insulation and envelope project, that was supposed to be in the Johnson Control upgrade, and it didn't meet the criteria of the savings enough to make it worth it, so that was not done.
Is that something you're still looking to do, or has that been put on hold indefinitely?
That has not been put on hold, it's just, whatever year we pick, we wanna do it, we can just put it in there. We would have to update the price. That was a Johnson Control price from them. Accurate, expand and upgrade the nurse's office. I would put that on hold indefinitely. There's no place to put it. And the room is, what, 10 by 8?
Yeah.
10 by 12, 8 by 12, maybe?
Yeah,
I mean, it's one room. I don't know what we could do with $35,000. So, then heat recovery ventilation unit. I have the plans for that. But that was another one that we were gonna do with the ESSA funds and, never materialized. Secure entrance, project design. We have not done anything with that. HVAC update for Elsted Primary.
Can I ask
Yeah,
you a question?
you
Can we
go
go back?
ahead.
Can we go back to secure entryway project design?
Yeah.
It was my understanding that there were designs for those when we had, a few years ago, there was excess building aid,
Yeah, I don't think there was one for Ackworth.
just Ackworth specifically.
Yeah, there was one for North Walpole, excuse me, North Charlestown, Charlestown Middle School, and Charlestown Primary.
Okay,
Because we're the ones that had the secure locks on the Capitol.
Yep.
In our capital improvement. We wanted it to come out of capital reserves. So they had the design when it went to the voters and then it got shot down to zero.
Well, I do remember that. I
yeah.
just thought every one of the schools had a plan for that, so.
I
Okay,
thought Walpole had a design.
I did too.
And not that I can remember.
I
There
thought
was,
they
there was
recently
talk,
had a design.
there was talk they wanted to do it.
Or,
And there was some, this is what we could do, you know, there was verbal, there was verbal talk about, it. I don't think there was anything put on paper with an architect.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Townsend primary HVAC update, that was with ESSA funds, and that didn't happen. The asbestos abatement of the cafeteria ceiling is done. The asbestos abatement nurses ceiling was done. The HVAC update was not done. New clock system was done. Secure entrance and 6 classroom addition, that was just plans designed for. And there was the 6-room addition, I don't believe had any plans for, but the secure entrance did. We did have plans for that. And then the bus replacement is unknown.
Can I-
new bus. Didn't we get a new bus?
Yeah, we received some and we have more coming this year, so.
I would like to go back to 6 classroom addition design.
Okay.
In all these conversations that we've recently had about North Charlestown, it's been made clear that there was plenty of room in the primary school should we have additional students coming in. So I would like to take that off this plan. I don't see any reason why we need to spend money on a design.
Could not agree more.
Okay, how does everybody else feel about that?
It seems like it makes sense to me. I mean,
Okay,
Unless Chris says he needs the 6 classroom addition, I don't think we need to design anything.
thank you.
Could we take the bus replacement at least temporary off there? Cause we've had a couple on there, right? Could we at least put it on hold?
This is 2023, it's happening this year.
So it's
I believe
done?
so. Yeah,
Oh,
well, it's in the process of, we haven't received all of them, we still have 2 more coming.
So there is not $600,000 in that potential line?
Correct. So there's some equipment in here as well that Bill won't necessarily be able to speak to, that I have to chase down with some other people. I'm
oh,
familiar with
you
the
wanna
bus
just
one.
hold that line then?
Well, I'm familiar with the bus one just because I've been, involved with the leases and stuff.
How much are we expecting to need to spend in the next few years?
That I will, I can't answer that right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I know we don't replace everything at once, so there will be some cyclical, built into this, replacement for buses.
Yeah, it would be good to know if we plan on spending $250,000 every year or so, what that number is, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The asbestos abatement pipe fittings in the hallway has been done. Building access road to provide an alternate exit. That is,
You didn't do that this summer? Bill? They didn't build the access road?
I almost have it. I haven't started.
There you go. With the,
he's got his shovel.
with the refurbished John Deere tractor?
Yeah,
Is that how you're doing that?
yes. And then the CTE stuff, that is unknown to me. I don't know about that program. That may be a principal thing.
Did
I
we
thought-
not get rid of healthcare?
We did. So those 2 lines were CTE, healthcare and health sciences technologies, and a docking station lab, I expect, are no longer relevant. And if we're
Upgrade,
getting them a newer spreader, I want to make sure we're fertilizing our soccer fields.
expand and upgrade the nurse's office here. I think, it's in the works to add 1 more room for her.
Where's that gonna be?
Is that like $35,000 or missing space?
Yeah, that should,
That's-
Just using space, it was,
Yeah, so this can come off, right?
yeah, there should be no monies associated with that.
yeah, these were put on, like I said, back in 2021 or 20 or
Well,
21.
the report came out then, I don't know when
Yeah,
that's
okay.
were developed.
Probably back in 2020.
I'm just curious where they're gonna expand, again, it's a set building, where are they gonna expand the nurse's office?
It's going back to its original spot. It was there it was L-shaped, and we built a wall
Okay.
and made another office. Now she's taking back that office.
Oh, okay.
Who's in that office? The one
Where's
that's
the
losing
yesterday?
space. Is that going somewhere else? Or do we no longer need it?
We definitely need the space. We're rearranging. Bill, this is in reference to the nurse that's being moved into this wing.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we're displacing someone from technology and moving the nurse into that room. So we're just moving bodies around. So
Okay,
there's
so
no
consolidate.
cost.
No building.
There's no cost associated with that.
Fantastic.
We're just moving personnel around.
Then the front entrance, security upgrade design. We had 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we had 3 different designs set up for that, and no one liked them. They wanted 3 new offices built, going out. And remodeled that whole first main office. But they wanted 3 new buildings put on. It would be expanding into where the lobby is, you know, that little U shape. They wanted to build 3 new offices up there. So
What?
that never materialized beyond,
That doesn't make any sense.
beyond verbal, you know, this is what I want. And then we said no.
Well. Do we need a new do we need front entrance security? It seems pretty secure when I come up. Well, I don't know. Do you want something bigger and better for security up there?
The only thing we discussed were the stanchions. Oh, I'm looking
What are
at
stanchions?
to make, yeah, I learned what that was too.
Okay.
Those pillars that block,
You know, block.
Oh, so
Yeah.
somebody couldn't drive into
yeah,
it?
yeah. Oh,
That's what
yeah,
I know it as.
okay.
Solid, yeah.
No, I didn't know it as that either. Someone said that, I was like, oh, that's what it's called?
Well, no, that would make sense, but it seems like that room, which we had a principal a long time ago, that used to all be open. We used to have our picnics out there, and then, he closed it all in, so that it's like a room full of mold, if you ask me, but it makes there be two, like a gap between, so you
Yeah,
have to
like
get into one.
Homeland
Like a
Security always wanted an entrance that would lock behind you and then the other one opens and while you're in that middle space, they can, I don't know, fry you
Zap you
with.
with gas.
Well, X-ray you, make sure you don't have weapons on you or whatever.
It seems like an airlock too.
Yeah.
This front entrance security upgrade design be the pillar thing? Should we change that?
Yeah, I
to
need
that?
clarity on that.
I did have a conversation with Dr. Edmonds not that long ago about it, and she had some great ideas. I'd like to hear from her about what she thinks might be necessary with the changing technologies and changing things like safety and security. I think it would be worth it to have that conversation.
All right, well, can we take this off? And after we have talks with her, we can add something else back on.
Or do we just leave it there and know that we're gonna have a conversation about it?
We can leave it there.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Sure.
Hallway ceiling.
Hallway ceiling replacement. That has been partially done. We've done we did a lot of it when we took the asbestos out. So, you know, I don't know what percentage to put on that has been done. Maybe 50%. An HVAC update. That was gonna be with the ESSA funds and never
Discussion.
materialized. Painting the gym ceiling is done. And then the sugar house replacement, with multi-post in business building that, was put on hold. And then North Charlestown, the next two, and those should be put on hold.
I don't think we need to. We got the vote to close
Oh, I
and
did.
relinquish,
Just delete.
delete.
The asbestos abatement for in the North Walpole School, the pipe wrap in the attic. It is up there. It is where no one can get to it. When I first started work here and was several pounds lighter, I could fit up through the hole. I couldn't today. The hole just, so small. And we put a piece, we boarded it over with plywood and there's a suspended ceiling in there. So I mean, no one can get up there to damage it.
Is this something people need to work on?
Can you just put it on hold?
I would put it on hold. Then the HVAC update, I would put that on hold. And the renovation of the nurse's office, again, I don't know how those ever got put on there for that amount of money. They're one room. There's no way to expand in that building.
Then let's just take it off.
No one's complaining. And then replace the stage curtain is done. Secure entryway design. I think this was, when we started with Charlestown, when Charlestown had the money, then we just started putting them all in. Once we just started putting every school down. We can put that on hold for the Sarah Porter's building insulation and envelope project. I would have to go back to the records, but I think that was done through the Johnson Control contract that we just finished up with. I think that was part of it, but I would have to
Okay.
check to see if that was, because I know Aquas didn't get us the savings that we needed to make it worth doing. But I think Sarah Porter did,
Perfect.
but I will get back to you on that one. And then the heat cut recovery ventilators, we could put them on hold. The asbestos in 6 classrooms, we've done a few. And 2 or 3. New gym, multi-purpose secure and 6 classroom project, I think. I think that's a wish list.
That is a wish list,
That's a wish
because
list.
that so had lots of discussion about what we were gonna do with the gym and.
I think further down here, there's a
Taking-
$3 million bill for a new gym.
Yeah, well, this is just the.
That's
design.
definitely a wish list.
Right,
Oh, they were gonna take down the hill and they were gonna,
yeah.
which.
You can't get rid of the gym.
Aw,
Somebody famous play on it.
well, Carlton
Well,
Fisk
Carlton
there.
Fisk.
Girl, but yeah, you can't possibly get rid of the gym.
We could put a
Keep playing on
plaque
it.
up in the new
You're
one.
stuck with that gym for the rest of your life.
We're gonna take boards from there and put them up on a,
But
Yeah,
Carlton
Right.
Fisk didn't even become famous as a basketball player.
Doesn't matter. All right, so let's.
Foundation repairs. Those were not done. I cannot get anyone to come do it. Can't find anybody to do it. I've called several masons. They all say, yeah, we'll come down, look at it. No one ever shows up,
But it needs to be done.
but it needs to be done.
So can we highlight that one and?
that's gonna be
Another
really
reasonable
low.
ballpark.
Well, back in,
It's 4,500 10 years ago. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a $13,000-14,000 project.
I'm sorry, Jenny, do you see what we're looking at? Okay, just want to make sure that I didn't miss it.
I can still keep going.
Yes, please.
Secured entry design for Walpole Elementary.
I just think if we just keep all those on hold, we'll just
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Boiler replacement, that was done in 2000. 2010, I think, 2015. Yeah, 2015,
So do we need another one?
no, the HVAC update, that could go on hold. Again. Renovating at the nurse's office at Walpole Elementary. They don't even have a nurse's office.
Okay, so,
Oh,
uh,
How about Bill, the nurse's office?
but. Do they, if they need one,
Where-
yes, but
and then again, the in secure entrance.
So
for
we literally have done 2 gradings. And so I'm just wondering if maybe this list can go to the principals and see if they want to cross some stuff off instead of Bill sitting here wondering what on earth that might be, or who, either the principal, whoever, but give it to the administration and let them weed some of this out. And then we can come back and visit it.
We've also identified a lot of these as done, so maybe
If the admins do it and then Bill goes through and crosses off all the ones that are done, this might only not, I don't think it's gonna be 5 pages.
agreed, and if a lot of the things, and. Well, I think we've gone through a lot of them that were just kind of thrown into the ESSER funds. Yes,
And also, when they're doing, Shelley just requested, if the principals could then add some things on here, like we did a walkthrough at Charles Primary School. And we saw a few things like the repointing of bricks. I don't see that on this list. We have some issues with the eaves dripping or where the brick meets the wood, the water gets underneath there. I don't see that on this list for Charlestown Primary, so. Maybe if those principals, when I'm looking through this list, they could also then create a list of things they.
the repointing of the masonry was done, it was in a capital reserve this year.
Okay.
This year, this,
It's
or
on,
warrant article.
it's not on this list, but I guess other things on there that he was talking about, stuff. That would be nice,
yeah,
as well as, maybe other wish list items they'd like for us to consider. But we noticed that the Charleston, when we're doing the walkthrough from Charlestown primary, there is no, fire abatement, there's no sprinkler system in the building,
There's a dry system,
there's a dry system.
yes. Goes to the storage room out back. I don't think there's one in the boiler room, but it's for the storage underneath it.
It's not throughout the whole school.
It's not
Just
throughout the whole
Just in areas where,
It's just,
combustibles.
yeah,
are.
with the storage underneath the gym, it had to be sprinkled.
Mhm.
I just think if the admin team comes together, with Dr. Spence as well, because I'm assuming you're coming up with a vision for some of these buildings, and some of this stuff might not even be needed now.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna be here way past the second game that's starting this evening.
What time does it start?
I'm going and playing now, and then there's
they-
games all night long.
Girls are, that's girls.
You watched the Baylor game last night?
No, I did not. I don't.
Or the Stanford game, and what, the Stanford game went into overtime. I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh. I didn't
So
have
do you-
power until like 5 this tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Kevin.
We have like rough estimates of how much a new, like, elementary school costs to build. I know that's like, it's like a amorphous thing, I don't know, but do we have like,
Depends on what you wanted it. Does it have a
Yeah.
swimming pool? Does it have
No, no,
like
I mean-
basketball, like,
Jim had some very rough outlines. He had some very rough numbers for when he was here. He had, I don't know if there was an actual design of it, but he had very rough numbers. But those numbers are now all skewed in the sense that things have tripled, if not quadrupled, since we even had those discussions that,
Mhm.
by the way, didn't go squat diddly anywhere.
So would they rough numbers for an elementary or middle or?
Was
Just
moving the
district-wide
middle
middle.
school
Yeah,
here
it was a-
to this campus.
They're in his folder somewhere, because, before he left, and we did a facilities meeting, he talked about it, he forwarded that stuff to a few of us.
I vaguely feel like it was about 35 million, so I would have guessed it'd be a 70 by now.
How much?
I think it was 35 million to build it before, like in 1920. And so we'd be looking at somewhere in the vicinity probably of 70 without even blinking. I do know he just, he works at a school district in Vermont, and a wealthy school district, and their voters aren't voting in favor of any of these things. Up and down the Connecticut Valley, schools are, the school districts are proposing projects, and they are getting voted down by taxpayers left and right. I don't know of a single one that has passed. So we need to keep that in mind before we spend, or even talk about spending money on designing these kind of things. I think we really need to get a handle on.
The design piece of it would go before the voters anyways, correct?
Right,
Yeah.
just like, you
So,
know, the design for this property.
I just, in terms of the real estate reduction plan, I would like to, we're talking about, all these capital improvements, they start adding up to whatever they add up to. I'd like to be able to compare that to just some rough estimates on what the district will still cost,
Depending on the configuration, though, you could have a K-6 building, and then at the high school, make that 7-12. It's 2 buildings. As opposed to doing a middle school, then an elementary school. But I agree, we really need to calculate the cost of truly the renovation and parking lot, just all of the stuff, and then balance that out against a new facility or proposed facility.
I do believe these were the questions we were going to put forth to a
Yes.
facilities committee, which has had no applicants. Nobody has called Misty and said, hey, I'm interested. Even
I
if
sent the email out and then
on the
anything back.
street, they're saying they're interested, people are not actually coming to be a part of this committee and do the legwork to help make this happen. So we need to decide how we're going to go about doing this. Are we going to take this on as a school board, with the administrators and district leaders?
I think we have to. If you look at the current capital improvement plan, which is eons old, we just sat here for 45 minutes. Most of these projects are done. Some of them our own facilities director doesn't really know why. And then there's also some on there that our current superintendent is also like, well, that's odd. So, yeah, I would love to think that we could get volunteers from the communities. I think our volunteer life, it's slowly dwindling. But that doesn't mean that we don't deserve to have these accurate figures to be able to make. I think we have to make an executive decision because all of this is relevant to what decisions we're gonna put forth to the voters within the coming years. So I don't think we can wait for them anymore. I think we've gotta start now.
Are we interested in adding a third meeting to specifically address these things? What's the
I
sense of
would,
it?
as long as it's not basketball.
Well, basketball season's almost over.
Well, and then-
Jenny, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
UConn, you win.
I mean, I'm reaching capacity here, but, I would do my best to be helpful on it.
Okay,
So can I ask a question?
yes, please.
So based on this conversation, am I understanding correctly that we were just working with the historical plan and we were working on trying to update it? Does Bill have the latitude to go through and, I mean, like, so I think that during ESSER, all the nurses' office were put on here.
That's what
But
we're
I
hearing.
think they should all come off.
ABAC was put on there.
Yeah,
We had big dreams that all of a sudden we were gonna spend
right,
$90 million on these wonderful, I'm not saying we shouldn't have them.
right. But still, I mean, so, do we have the latitude to really scrub this and bring you back something that Bill can stand behind and prioritize along with, consulting with Dr. Spence?
And building administrators and absolutely, that is what we would like to have presented. Something that, but it's something also that we can stand behind when we go to the voters and say, this is what we need for our
When-
schools.
When we very first had that from, Bill, or, Jim, sorry, Jim, Bill, letters, from Jim, it did help us because it was fresh and it was new and we could say, okay, these are the things that we want to do. This is the direction we're going. But then, because of all of the stuff that, the water over the dam, but everything that was going on, it wasn't continuously updated. And so, with it not being, it has to be a living document. It
Right.
can't be,
Or it was updated without letting us know. Or it had things in there like a community rec center that's supposed to be across from the tennis courts out in that field. That was like $1.4 million to build, but if we built it, then more people would come to the high school.
Oh,
So
I didn't hear that one.
I heard it in a meeting because I almost choked on my tongue.
Well, it's not gonna go forward now.
But
So
yeah,
I think that's a good plan for us to go forward with. I don't know as though we need to discuss this any further
Do we have to change our policy
about,
regarding the facilities committee if we're now saying we're gonna take over the committee as of right now? Or can we use it can we say something like, could we keep that policy, but put it on hold due to the fact that we don't have any applicants from the community?
because we have a policy that says we need to have a facilities committee?
But what does the policy say about its members? Does it say that they have to be community members?
Well, if it's a board committee working on it, we'll just be subject to, 91A, so we have to post the meetings, we have to have minutes, that kind of thing, which if we're adding a third meeting a month in order to get it done,
Who said that? What?
She said that.
Anyways, no, can we just look at the policy?
You're pulling it up, Sarah?
I'm trying to, yeah.
Cause I just wanna make sure we're not breaking
All right.
rules.
We have to look at the minutes, but I thought we didn't make it an official board subcommittee of the board because of all those things we had to have.
Right.
We made it almost like an ad hoc working group,
Mhm.
not a.
I think so.
I
But it
thought-
wasn't
we'd have to
by
check the
policy. That was just what we decided
Right.
in order for them to come to us and present it. But now it's changing. I don't know, so we have a policy that says we even have to have a facilities
Where would,
committee.
what would it be under? Facilities?
Under, it would be under
Policy.
school
There's
board.
no policy there.
Oh,
That's
so-
what we created.
Misty says we do not have a policy.
Oh,
Thank you,
then we're
Misty.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think
Then
there's a
we're all right.
policy that says that.
Then I just
I'm
wanted to
sorry,
make-
I couldn't unmute. I couldn't find my button to unmute. We do not have a policy that says that it's a board sanctioned committee. Sorry to interrupt, but yes, I was trying really hard, so.
Thank you.
I think Jim drove facilities.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So every meeting that I went to, he's the one that was driving the bus. I mean, not saying, I wasn't on the school board, I was a community member. But, I mean, it was like, here's your capital improvement, this is what we're doing.
I think,
Maybe that's why people don't wanna do it.
I'm not sure. I think people are perhaps overwhelmed or whatnot. But it is, capital improvement plan is something we need to make sure is going. It feeds right into the strategic plan. It feeds right into planning the budget. So many things, whether we
And-
have a committee or not, is something we need to be cognizant of.
I think it's absolutely important because the capital improvement plan can really, if done properly, can point the finger at like, no, it's just, from the town of Alsted. Our capital improvement plan showed that our 2015 Dodge six-wheel dump truck was costing us more than a new one would cost,
Mhm.
because the thing broke down all the time. I mean, half the time it was in the shop instead of, and when you see things like that, that makes it a lot easier to say, let's vote and replace this thing. Even though it's gonna cost us a lot and it's gonna take a year to get it, taxpayers look at that. And I think if we have a viable capital improvement plan that's done to, that's updated all the time, we can take this to the voters and say, look, this is what this is costing us. Look at all this asbestos all over the place. I mean, we gotta do something about this. What do you wanna do? I mean, here are your choices.
There should be a couple manuals that we just naturally bring to every meeting, the strategic plan and the capital improvement. I say manual, because I don't want a book,
Yeah, we want just something small.
because a capital improvement, that was a book.
It was one of.
It was a
like
huge book, yeah.
3-inch binder, yeah, it was huge.
But the bottom line is a good capital improvement plan can help us, take a look at, see what's important to fix today. What are we doing down the road, and eventually, what can we get rid of?
So which comes first, the chicken or the egg, the capital, I mean, we need a capital improvement plan, but we also need a strategic plan, and that's going to, in some ways, drive the capital improvement plan. So
Yeah,
I think that we have to, I mean, I think we have to have some discussion on building that strategic plan.
Isn't that what we're doing on whatever
Yeah.
So we're
Saturday.
working on Saturday? On whatever
The
Saturday
strategic
is?
plan is for Saturday.
Okay.
I think at this point, my thought is we need the strategic plan is its own thing. The capital improvement plan, we need to start with the things that are absolutely essential that we are currently fixing as we find out they need fixing. So to have an inventory of those things, have a plan for fixing them, is a good start. We can add all those other things after we strategic plan, so they can go concurrently.
yeah. No,
So,
I just think that this would be great, and what we were just doing for the first 3 pages was important, knock this stuff off because it's been done.
It's
And,
nice to know we've done some things.
It is, it's great to know that it's done some of these things. But, you know, we get a smaller, more compact plan and then we take that facilities committee, whether it's us or somebody else, and we go through and we prioritize this stuff. And
All
we
right,
do
well
what we
then-
can.
I think you're right. So let's going forward. Bill and Lori, if you would put together, you know, slash and burn, whatever you want on this, let us know what the priorities are, what the absolute needs are. Bring that back to us, you know, in a month or so at a regular business meeting, we can talk about it. And then when we're in strategic planning, we'll start kind of adding pieces to that. Does that work for the rest of you?
Yes.
Yeah, it
I
does.
just want to say one thing. I think the larger question is, what is the true cost of maintaining a real estate over the life of the cycle? I noticed from personal experience, having a building, you start doing the cost accounting and your schedule for your taxes, and you realize, thought I was making money, but I realized this thing is costing me more money to own and operate this than I'm actually making. That's my life right now. So I know that all too well. So you gotta really think over the life, if you invest this much in a new facility, it might save us $100 million over the lifetime of owning some of these buildings.
I think we will see that when we get the
Yep.
absolute needs, you know,
Mhm.
when we
We'll get
talk
that.
about a foundation that needs fixing, and that's on our list, when we find out what those costs are. And then we start strategic planning and saying, well, we don't have to pay for those things when we do this or whatnot.
Yeah.
So that will all come out in the next year.
We've got big conversations that we're gonna have to talk to our communities about. Now I'll tell you, Jim did some good legwork on that middle school. He did.
Mm.
And
He did.
unfortunately, that all it got chopped down in a matter of seconds because it was never presented to our communities in the right way. There were no numbers to it. I'm not talking about just numbers to build it. I'm talking about cost savings, what it would save you, how it would save you. What are we spending in abatements? What are we spending in foundation repairs? And comparing all of that, it just wasn't there for the public to be even
Yeah, I mean-
remotely begin to bite onto it. So all of this legwork that we're doing, if we're truly going down this one road, it's only gonna benefit us. It's only gonna benefit the communities. That's the only way we're gonna sell it.
And we have to remember, when you look at one of the other things that wasn't in that plan for the regional middle school was to look at it from a student standpoint. What's the benefit? What are we getting now with 3 of these things and what could be better improved? And you can't tell me that putting all of these kids together wouldn't have been better. It would have been better for the teachers, because now they can just get down the hall to talk to somebody else that's doing the same curriculum and making sure that the kids are getting this stuff, and where you can't just drop everything and drive over to Charlestown if you're teaching at Violas. You know, I mean, things like that, the benefits to the students, we gotta push that too.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've learned from the past, so we can go forward doing some things better. So, all right, I think that's, yes.
Can I just clarify? You want this to come back to a regular business meeting soon, not April, May?
May sounds good.
Okay, just.
Yeah, please take some time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
have to
feel
be.
free to get rid of that. Get rid of that.
And so we're gonna really scrub this. It's just, we.
You
we
know, the
collectively
administrators
didn't have a
know.
lot of
Yeah.
guidance or direction and understanding of what you wanted to see. next.
And I would definitely get input from the administrators in terms of what,
Yeah.
as you're. scrubbing,
Principals know
you
their buildings,
So that-
stuff like that.
You know, like an 18 meeting or two.
I would get with Art too, because some of this is him,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and what he
All
wants
the,
and.
all the affected administrators. Well, and I think we need to talk about where our central office is too, because right now we're paying rent for central office and it's not handicap accessible. And
Right.
I think that, that could catch us, because if you have a civil rights complaint, it's extremely expensive.
There's no elevator in
There is no elevator.
there? I didn't know.
There is
I
no.
thought there was one.
Because there's days on which there was one.
There is no, there's no access to upstairs.
That's a
Well,
good
there are
point.
stairs.
Well, I appreciate you bringing this. I had no idea that this was the state that the capital improvement plan was in. So it's eye-opening and I look forward to seeing your thoughts on paper in a couple months. So, all right, we do need to add one non-public. It's gonna be quick, I think.
I think. And
So,
there.
but it is something we need to discuss. So if we could do that, Brendan.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Bill.
Do I need to move
Yes.
to go into non-public? Do we, you know?
We do need a motion to go into non-public.
I move to
for
go, for what?
Personnel.
contracts.
For personnel? I
Personnel.
move to
Yep.
go into non-public for personnel.
So,
I second.
Thank you. And the roll, Jenny?
Yes, for Jenny.
Shelley?
Yes.
Yes.
yes, for Joe.
Alyssa, yes. All right, thank you.